today is Wednesday, December 1st, 2021, and we're here for a Warren County Employee Oral History with Andy Russell. My name is Tori Otten.
My name is Jennifer Baker.
And then, Andy, would you like to say who you are?
Well, my name's Andy Russell, and I'm the Chief Mechanic for the Warren County Commissioners.
Perfect. So, we covered your name. So, when and where were you born?
I was born in Wilmington, Ohio, August 31st, 1962.
Thank you. And did you grow up there or elsewhere?
I have lived my entire life here in Lebanon, Ohio.
Perfect. I feel very much kinship with that. What jobs did you have prior to working for Warren County since you were 18?
Well, prior jobs before employment here at Warren County is I worked for Russell's Auto Repair for 4 years during my high school years. So I was actually wrenching cars from my freshman to my senior year, and that's how I ended up here at the county garage. We were actually working on the sheriff cruisers back in the 70s. We were rebuilding the transmissions in their Buick Sabres. So actually that's how I ended up here.
What year did you graduate from Lebanon High School?
May 26, 1981. And I started here May 27th, 19. I graduated on a Sunday and I started here on a Monday. And I was actually hired as the assistant to the chief mechanic. And I worked with him through the summer of 81, and I can't remember what month, but he bought a business here in town and he went to that business, and I kept doing the job here at the garage, and they posted the chief mechanic job for Warren County, and I took that job in October of 1981.
So has the garage always been located here?
The garage was originally started at Justice Drive at the sheriff's office. It was a two-bay garage over there. I actually operated the county garage out of there for 25 years.
Okay.
And then we moved, and we've been over here over 15.
Okay. So, we actually covered a lot of these. So, you already said that the county was very different when you started versus now. Can you kind of elaborate on that? Like, what did it used to be like versus now, at least for your department?
Well, when I first started, our main customer was the sheriff's office, and that's 99% of my business was with them. And we did a good job, and after I became chief mechanic, then we had an assistant too, so we had two mechanics taking care of the sheriff's office. They had a total of 25 cars, and we were doing a good job for them. And the commissioners recognized that we had a talent, and then we started expanding. So today, we have 40 different agencies, we have over 500 cars, and I got a crew of 5 mechanics. So it went like from Mayberry to where we're at today, and the whole county just grew and expanded till we got to the point where we're at now. So it's a business owned by the county, and I operate it.
So if there's 40 agencies, are these all government-based agencies?
They're all agencies located within Warren County.
Okay.
Any of the government agencies that have fleets or cars could approach us if they want, and we do a lot of different government agencies here. So it's their choice if they want to take advantage of us.
Yeah.
Do you like the system that they have today versus when you started?
Yeah, I like progress is good, technology is good. The problem with it is trying to keep up with all the changes we've seen. And the cars have really changed over the years. You know, they were all mechanical, now they're all electronic.
Right.
So things change, and the cars are better today than they ever were in the past. You know, they're safer, they run better, they get better gas mileage, and they're comfortable, and they're better. Everything's better. And I like the old. I would like to go back there, but that's gone. And today where we're at, and we're doing a good job.
Yeah. I will say during the pandemic, I've noticed that the car industry as a whole seems to be struggling. Has that really impacted the way you guys have operated, like getting parts and things?
Well, yes, it has. And we are having problems getting things, but we tend to keep spares for emergency uses. So we have extra patrol cars, we have extra water trucks, and we have materials in the garage here that we need readily available. so we can get the cars in and out, because the cars and the trucks are no good in this building. So we need to maintain them and get them out, because that's what they bought them for, transportation, not to be worked on. So, yeah.
So what would be some of your daily tasks and duties here, and especially have those changed over the years since you now have moved up?
Well, I've been the chief mechanic for 40 years, and I oversee everything that goes on here. Every repair that's done here. I have individuals that I use for different things. I have heavy guys. I have people that build patrol cars. I got people that do programming on the cars, and I oversee all that. So, I actually participate in a lot of the work too. So I'm actually on the floor a lot, and I'm actually in here a lot. And I have people that prepare things for me, and then I approve them and send them on down the line. But I'm the last person in the chain of command that checks everything before it leaves the building.
So when you started at 18, did you foresee staying in this position for this long?
Well,
or did you have a certain...
It went
career
by
goals?
fast. I can tell you, it went by fast. I'm a second generation mechanic. My father still wrenches on cars today. He's 85 years old. So I actually work part-time with them to this day. But you know what? When you're interested in something and you like what you do, I never really considered. I've had offers to go other places, but I've been my own boss for 40 years. And the only thing they've ever asked of me is to keep this running. And that's what I've done. And I've had a good job doing, or a good time doing it too. I've worked for some great people, a lot of different elected officials, and not only are my bosses, they were my friends, because once you build a relationship with them, they take you to the next level. And I've learned so much from so many people. So it's been good. It's been a good career. I've enjoyed it tremendously.
So you talked about vehicles changing. Do you guys also work on any other forms of machinery? Like, we saw some of the photos that you donated to us. There were snowmobiles and helicopters in the photos.
Well, over the years, the county's had a lot of different machines. Okay, they've had snowmobiles. We've had boats for the lake. We actually had a helicopter. The first time I ever flown was in the county helicopter. It was Jerry Finland was a pilot. He ran it was called disaster services back in the day. Today it's called emergency services. That's the first time I ever flown in my life, was in an Army surplus helicopter. And they used to have a helicopter mechanic come down from the state of Ohio. He had to be certified by the state. His name was Juan Thompson, and I just remembered it because it was a unique name. And I actually got to work with him on the helicopter, and he showed me how to check all the cabling for the rear rotor. He showed me how the ignition system worked. It had two magnetos, and it had two different ignition systems. So if one ignition system failed, they could switch to the other one so they didn't fall out of the sky like a rock. But I actually flew in that thing 3 times. Knock on wood, I'm still here.
Did you guys drive the snowmobiles frequently?
I rode the snowmobiles more than any officer ever did. Now, every winter, we would have to get them. They bought those snowmobiles before I got here, because they had that big blizzard of 78.
Oh, yeah.
I was still in school, and I started here in 81. So every year, we'd have to get the snowmobiles out and get them operational, make sure they were good to go. And then some years, we didn't get snow. But then other years, we would. And I actually have went on calls with the sheriff's office where they had to go out and do business with people in the winter, and they sent me with them to go out and help the officers operate the snowmobiles.
When did they get rid of them? Do you know?
You know what? We probably had them 20 years, maybe 25 years, but they were 78 John Deere snowmobiles. There were a pair of them, and they were actually manufactured by Kawasaki. Those were fun. Those are fun to work with. So
where would you just practice on them?
Actually, I'd take them over to Harmon Golf Course, and I'd ride them on the golf course. As long as you didn't tear up the turf, they were fine with that.
I never would have thought.
I did that a lot.
That's great. So, what are the main departments besides the sheriff's office that you interact with here? Like, what are your other big
Okay,
clients, I suppose.
I got the sheriff's office,
Mhm.
water and sewer, building, electrical, zoning, the commissioner's office, emergency services, Deerfield Township, South Lebanon, Waynesville, um, and a whole bunch more. They're
And the
not.
record center.
And our one
Yeah.
vehicle for the
Well,
record center.
you guys came a long way because you never had a vehicle forever.
Yeah,
So,
and then we had that Jeep Cherokee.
Yeah.
Was it white?
Like a cream colored.
Yeah, that actually came from emergency services.
Oh.
That was actually a police edition Jeep Cherokee, so it was kind of a little bit unique.
Yeah.
Frank Young had that before, and he operated telecom, and what else did he do over there? Emergency services, maybe.
Okay. All right. Well, I did not know that's where the Jeep came from. That's for sure. So, how often do you get to interact with the public, since this is a lot of a private?
Well, you know what?
Sector?
The only time we interact with the public is when we're going out and maybe bidding for new cars, trucks,
Mhm.
you know, or we buy them on the state contract, or we're dealing with body shops, and I deal a lot with insurance agents because we're constantly having cars wrecked. I've got 2 or 3 out here that are wrecked right now.
Mhm.
So I'll be dealing with insurance adjusters, I'll be dealing with body shops, and then we have to deem a value on a car if it's totaled, and then we got to make sure we're compensated for it. And I work with Tammy Whitaker over at OMB with that too. She handles all the insurance claims. I send the information to her, and we get together so we can resolve whatever happened.
So when the county purchases new vehicles, they consult you.
Oh, what we do is actually before we go out and purchase a new car, usually the department head comes in and says, hey, we need some cars, we're looking at these, and then we go over specs and stuff, and we make sure they get what they need. And we try to keep it at the minimum. The cars aren't plush, our trucks aren't plush. They're good, they do what they need to do, and our goal is to get them in here, set them up. We build all our own police cars in-house. We wire every patrol car that was ever built here in Warren County for 40 years. We do that up front right now. But we build the cars for them. We call it doing the tour of duty. We track everything with the computer. We watch our expenses, and when it gets to a certain time, we'll remove the vehicle from service. But our goal here is to get a vehicle in service, make it look like something, represent the county well, do what it needs to do, and be financially responsible for it.
So do you do all of the paint and everything for the vehicles as well?
Actually, those cars are decaled,
Okay.
and we do all our own decaling here at the garage. We actually have a room here that has all our decals here. There, we purchase them and we install them. It usually takes a day to mark one of the patrol cars, and it's actually like wallpapering because they put on there wet, and then we dry them, and we have to take a squeegee and get the. It's time consuming and it's monotonous. It's like I've lettered so many cars. I don't care if I ever letter another.
So that's not your favorite task.
No.
Well, you know what? It was cool at first, but after you do, I can't even tell you how many I've built.
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds of cars. So it's like I've trained other people, and they're doing
Very
a better job than I ever did. So listen, things get better with time, and materials get better with time. So you know, I trained them, and they're going to go to here. So they'll do the same someday for somebody else.
Right. So when a vehicle goes out of service, what has to go into it to be able to sell like one of the vehicles?
Well, first thing we do is we'll remove any of our electronics, all our police markings and anything like that. We'll make sure the car is presentable, and what we do then is we put it on Gov Deals, and we write a description up, and it's sold, and that money goes back into the general fund.
I always kind of wondered. So, what are some of the highlights of your time with the county that you think?
All right, this is one of when I first started, I was making $3.75 an hour. Well, I was just a kid, and I never really had, you know, when I worked at Russell's Auto Repair in high school, I always had money because my father would just hand me money, but I never got a paycheck, but I always had money. So I went to work for the county, and I'm making $3.75 an hour, and I was working here for about a year and a half, and I was the chief mechanic by that, and it hit me all of a sudden that I'm producing a lot of work, but I'm not making a lot of money. So I thought, I need some help. So I was I've always been real close with the sheriff's office, and probably closer with him when I was over there than I am now, because we're kind of separated. But I thought, I need some help. So I could walk in and out of the sheriff's office in the jail like my house back in the day. So I walk in behind this desk. This is the original desk out of the sheriff's office, and Bob Dalton was the sheriff. I said, I need to talk to you, and I'm sitting where you're at now. And he goes, what can I do for you? And I said, well, Sheriff, I need some help. He goes, what is it? I said, I need a raise. I said, can you help me? And he goes, sure. He goes, how much you looking for? And he was a husky man, cigar, and he's rolling it. He goes, how much you want? I said, I want a dime or a nickel. And he looked at me and he laughed. He goes, you don't want a dime or a nickel? And I thought, what are you talking about? He goes, you want $1. My eyeballs got that big around, and I thought, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, I'll see what I can do, because they were meeting with commissioners all the time. And back in those days, the commissioners would, mainly one of them, Dave, what's Dave's last name? Dave, I'll think of it here in a minute, would come up to the garage, and he'd check on me, see what he was getting for his money. And we got to be real good friends. And I was in the garage working one day, and said, I need to talk to you. And he goes, what is it? And I said, I need a raise. He goes, well, how much you want? I said, $1. He goes, who you been talking to? I said, the sheriff. I got 31 cents. And I got 31 cents, and I thought I was living high on the hog. Man, I don't want a dime or nickel, but I ended up with 31 cents. So that's kind of how it started out. That was fun. I worked with Sheriff Dalton for 6 years, Sheriff Collins for 6 years. I worked with Tom Harris for 16 years. And Larry, I think, is going into his 4th term, so he's almost at 16 years. But I'll be out before that. But I've always worked close with them. If you take care of their cars, they take care of you. And I've got some really good friends there, and I've done a lot of work with them over the years. And something I want to show you. This is off a 1979 Buick LeSabre, and I worked on this car back in the day, and the deputy actually autographed this and gave it back to me. I usually give these to the deputies when they retire a car, and I worked on his cars for 35 years, and he's since passed away, was one of my best friends in the world. So, Bill Spurlock, not great man, great deputy, and he lived up here on top of the hill, so that was good. I enjoyed that, and I don't know, I could go on and on and on and tell you about different things that, but I don't know where to start, because whatever you want to ask me. But when we moved over here, they never had any money for furniture or stuff for us. So it's a garage. We just need something to operate. But this desk that I'm sitting at was actually in the sheriff's office for 40 years.
Right. Oh.
And the sheriff signed this, and he gave it to me. So what's funny about this desk is this is the desk that the deputies, when they were in trouble, they would pull that out on the other side of the desk. Right. There's a thing, and they'd have to sign these papers when they were getting rode up for banging their cars up and stuff. But it was all good, and they all worked together good for years. And it's kind of ironic that this ended up in here.
So how long had the sheriff's department been there when you started?
Okay, that SO was built, I think it's 74 or 75. And you know what's ironic about that? That was a Democrat sheriff. And that was the last Democrat, I believe, to hold office here in Warren County. So he actually got that complex built. His name was Roy Wallace. He was a 3-term sheriff. He lived out here on Hart Road, and he got beat on his 4th term by Bob Dalton. That was from Franklin PD, and he ran as a Republican. And Dalton came in January, I believe January of 81, and I showed up May 27th, 1981. So I came here right after they'd taken over, and it was good. It was like I'm telling you, it was like Mayberry. Everybody knew everybody. I knew everybody on which watch they were on. They had 3 watches: first watch, second watch, and third watch. And back in those days, they'd have a north unit, a south unit, and they'd have whoever was in charge going north and south. So at one time, during the day, or second watch or third watch, there'd only be 3 people on duty. Today, it's totally different. There's patrol cars all over the county. So it really grew.
Right. We interviewed a gentleman a couple of years ago who grew up in Lebanon, and he said, prior to that jail being there, like complete darkness out in that area,
Yeah.
and then like once they built the jail or the sheriff's office, it was like lit up,
Right.
like out in the distance,
That
sort of situation.
That was called the county farms, I believe, back in the day, and the old East Street building was there. And they built the sheriff's office first and then the courthouse. Now, what's interesting about all this, the old jail down on Silver Street, on my mother's side of the family, she was a Brandt. Two of my grandfathers were sheriff of Warren County, Morrow Brandt and Alfred Brandt. And the Brandt's hardware store was purchased, I believe, in 1929 out of the sheriff's sale. So Alfred Brandt was sheriff one term. He bought the hardware store here in town, and it was in that family for 90 years until it was sold here recently. But that was some connections. My grandmother used to be the matron at the county jail on Silver Street, and her three brothers. Well, that would have been my great-grandmother was the matron, but my grandmother and her three brothers, Dick, Zane, and Dan, and her name was Marjorie, lived in the sheriff's office. They had a jailbreak down there, she told me, and they had to hide under the couch
Oh no.
as children there. But they actually lived there for 4 years.
I never honestly contemplated what happened for the jailbreak because we were told by Vance and Miriam Satterthwaite about how they had, what did they refer to them as? They had certain
They were like,
individuals who were in the jail, like
Trustees.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
and told us about them and how they wandered to like the stores to get stuff. I just
Sure.
never really considered what a jailbreak looked like.
Well, the jailbreaks were probably hardened criminals,
Mm-hmm.
but your trustees were locals that you knew that kind of got in trouble once in a while.
Right.
And when I was over on Justice Drive, they had trustees out, and heck, we knew them. They had to go in at jail at not. Well, I won't tell you his name, but I had a gentleman that I was acquaintance with that got locked up in the jail, was an excellent mechanic, and he worked with me that summer. I think it was 2003, and he worked with me that summer, and he said, I love the work, enjoy the company. He goes, but I hate going home at night, because he was in jail. I don't know what for, but he did a nice job for us.
Well, that's good.
So I guess he got rehabilitated and became a productive person in society.
Okay. Well, then, if your mom's side has been in the county at least for that period of time, how long has your family been in Warren County? I know you said you're born in Wilmington.
Well, I think there were no hospitals in Warren County. Okay, I think there was one downtown in Lebanon, and I can't remember what the name of the building is. It's kind of catty-corner from the Golden Land, but both my parents were born there.
The Blair Brothers Hotel?
Yeah, that's
or the
it.
Blair
That's-
Brothers Hospital, not hotel.
That's it. That's exactly it. But my mom and dad were both born there. They both graduated from Lebanon High School, and since then that was closed evidently, and different shops went in there, and they took me over to Wilmington, and that's where I was born, both my brothers. So
generation.
yeah. Oh, getting back to the question, I'm probably third generation in Lebanon. I've got two grandfathers that are buried up here in the Lebanon Cemetery. But what's interesting, I had a nephew here recently do this Ancestry.com, and he traced our family heritage all the way back to the Revolutionary War.
Wow.
And over in Jackson County, I have a 6th or 7th generation grandfather. His name was Enoch Russell. He fought in the American Revolutionary War, and the government gave him property in Jackson County. And I've been over there twice recently this summer. I've taken my son over there, and I got a bunch of pictures of the tombstone and stuff, and it's kind of ironic. And they lived there probably, that generation of Russell. When we went over there, we knew that his grave site and stone was there, but what we didn't realize is a lot of his family was there too. So we found like 20 more stones with the name Russell on them. And it's real interesting because not all those were on Ancestry.com yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still being fulfilled. But it's real interesting. So we've been in Ohio for at least 100 years.
So, have there been any memorable projects that you've helped with over years, or something that really sticks out in your head?
Well, basically all we did was automotive and stuff. We were always out of sight, out of mind, but when they needed us, you better be there. But when we moved over here, getting this complex set up, They bought this from Turtle Creek Township, and they got a great price on this building, and they modified the building and got it operational today. This garage is like an assembly line now. This stuff comes in, and usually I'm not backed up like this, but I've got people off, and this COVID stuff's been, but it's an assembly line, vehicles in and vehicle out. So the biggest project that we've done in my timeline here was getting this complex set up. This has been a great money saver for the county. It's unique. The things that we do in here, most government agencies don't. These guys on the floor that work for me, they're exceptional, very, very talented, and they really do good work for the county, and they've saved them thousands of dollars. And the thing about it is a quick turnaround time that they get. So we get on a project, and we're constantly building new cars and trucks. So, I mean, those are other smaller projects, but they weren't nothing big like this. But we just set up 2 new dump trucks for the water and sewer department. We probably build 10, maybe 15 cars a year for the sheriff's office, which includes South Lebanon and Deerfield. So we're constantly building those. If you want, I'll take you up front and show you a couple cars that are being built. And there's hours and hours of work that go into those cars before they can go out of there. Usually when a patrol car comes in, we have to disassemble it. All the interior goes out on the floor. We install our equipment, and then we put it back together. And then it's ready for its tour duty.
So if you have a vehicle that goes down somewhere, do you have a wrecker where you go get them, or do you hire that out to a wrecking company?
We do both. Sometimes we'll go to the vehicle, and a lot of times we can get it going and bring it back. Or I call a local wrecker company here in town, whoever's prompt and quick, and can get the vehicle back to me so we can get the car back on the road.
Gotcha. So, switching a little bit, has anything significant happened, I know there has, within the county government during your time as an employee? No, it's been a long.
Well, the thing about it is, here at Warren County, usually the county tends to vote Republican. So once an elected official is in office, they tend to stay there 3 to 4 terms, and then they go on to something else or they retire. But we haven't had any Democrats here in 40 years, and it's not a bad thing, but we're operating well. All our bills are paid. Our equipment's good, and life's good.
So, just circling back, we've done a few exhibits on the various county buildings. Do you have any memories? This is prior to your time as an employee here, but because they built all of the sheriff's office and stuff out where the old county infirmary is, do you have any memories of that area prior to the sheriff's office being there? Or even, so we're currently working on an exhibit on the old courthouse, and we've done one on the old jail. Like, do you have any memories of those in operation prior to all of the newer buildings being in place?
Well, I've been in the old courthouse several times because there were some different agencies in there down there on the corner. I guess it's Silver Street and East. I've been in there numerous times. I've only been in the sheriff's office, the old one down on Silver Street, one time, and I've been in the old administration building hundreds of times before I got moved up there. So I tell you what's interesting. When the new jail up on Justice Drive was built, the one that they're getting ready to probably demolish because they went into the new one, my grandmother took us up there for a tour. So I was actually in that building when I was probably 7th or 8th grade. And then I went to work there right after I graduated from high school. So it was kind of interesting. But what was weird the other day, Trevor from facilities came over and got us, and Nolan and I went over there because, like I said, we always try to get hand-me-down furniture and shelves and stuff. So we went over to the jail, and now they're in their new jail, and I'm walking through the old jail, and I got memories of where people worked, and everybody was busy doing their jobs and coming and going and stuff. Now it's all empty like a ghost building. It's like, it kind of brings back some memories that are sad. It's because some of those people moved on, they retired, some of them passed away. And that's the only thing that kind of gets to me is you miss those people you worked with, and you build a relationship with them. And unfortunately, we all grow older, and like I have too. So I'm 59, and I've been here 40 years, and I've had a wonderful career. This has been an ideal job. It's been close to home. I've enjoyed working on all the cars, and we get a lot of production here. So it's been good.
Do you recall when the record center was located in the sheriff's? It was more the microfilm department, I suppose, operated out of the sheriff's
Yes.
department.
Well, I don't know about the records department within the sheriff's office, but the garage, the old garage over there, actually has a gun range in it, and it also had 2 rooms for evidence. So the deputies were constantly coming in there, and they were training, shooting their guns. And we would be in there working, and there's a 4-stall range in there, and they would be firing their guns. And people would come in, and they would do business with us, and they would hear these guns going off, and they'd almost hit the floor. Okay, and it's like, you're safe, it's in a different room, and we'd have to explain to them what was going on. But they had the evidence room, okay, and they used to store marijuana in there. And it would be in there so long that it would dry out, and it would actually... it would take your breath. And the rooms were only about as big as this office. And they'd leave it in there till they got a court order. And once they got a court order, they would have me take a 55-gallon drum, and I'd take a torch, and I'd cut the top out of it, take it out behind the garage. And Jack Whitaker was in charge of the patrol cars back in the day, and he's also in charge of destructing the marijuana. But Jack is the deputy sheriff, and he's in his uniform, and he'd go out back, and he would burn for days. They would burn marijuana. We used to burn that out behind the garage. And people would come in, and they would try to do business. And they're like, "What are you guys doing?" "Well, we're working. What are you doing?" And they said, "What are you doing?" "Well, we're working." And we'd say, "Why don't you go out back?" And they go out back, and they see what's going on. They start laughing. But that went on for years. And something else I used to do was real unique. The sheriff's office would take weapons from people, and then they get a court order and have it destroyed, and they would bring it out. One day, Mark DeVillius and I cut guns for one day. One solid day, we cut guns up, and knives and swords and hatchets, destroyed that for one whole day. And something else happened that was really funny. They had these gambling machines they used to seize all the time. Once they got the court order to destroy it, a deputy would come out, and I told Jack, I said, Jack Whitaker, I said, "There's some coin in that." And he didn't want to fool with it. I said, "Jack, there's some coin in that." And he said, "Okay." Well, anyway, he had to get a 5-gallon bucket because it was full of quarters, and it had $400 worth of quarters, and he had to take it over to the Treasury or the auditor's office so they could deposit in the general fund. So we used to do that kind of stuff all the time too. Oh, I want to tell you something else interesting. A lot of times when they would seize a car for our case, we would disassemble it for them, you know, so they could take whatever parts they needed and send it out to the crime labs and try to pull stuff, whether it be blood, fingerprints, or stuff like that. Because you got to realize the deputies, some of them are not mechanically inclined, and you have to figure out how to take a steering wheel off or a door panel and stuff like that. We did that stuff for them all the time.
Did you warn people about the shooting range?
Actually, no. I actually got a charge out of them, watch them jump a little bit, and then I'd tell them to calm down. But what was neat, when they were shooting in the gun range, the bullets would be going down the block wall, and you could hear them skipping down the wall. And then they hit a gun trap at the end, which was all metal, which would ring real good when the bullet hit it. But it was 4 stalls. They qualified all the time. I actually got to shoot with them numerous times. Something else I used to do for them over there. A lot of those guys were gun guys, and I don't know what the gunsmiths maybe. And I actually got to work on guns and stuff with them because I owned all the tools. I mean, I had punches and presses and stuff like that. And we'd actually take guns apart and modify barrels and switch barrels to different calibers and that kind of stuff. And I did that a lot with them too. So I'm mechanically inclined, but I'm not a gunsmith. So it worked good for both of us.
Seems to be a jack of all trades that you experienced around here.
I've done a lot of different things for the county.
Yeah. So something specific about this location here, when Maryhaven still existed,
right
next door, and after it shut down and they stopped using it for storage for like the juvenile department and such things, do you ever remember, were there ever any people just randomly wandering the property that you noticed? Or we've heard a lot and seen things about people ghost hunting the area, so just curious if that was actually a thing.
I have seen people over there doing some metal detecting. That's about basically to the extent. Whether they had permission or not, I don't know, because I kind of stayed here taking care of business. Now, if they would have asked me, I'd have said, yes, somebody's over there. But, you know, a lot of times I'm sure those people got permission before they went over there. But something interesting years ago, this is probably 35, maybe a little bit longer. Maryhaven had a bus.
Okay.
So they wanted me to work on the bus. So I put an alternator or something on the bus, no big deal. But when we took it back, we put it up on top of the hill. Well, they didn't tell me where necessarily they needed it parked. So I took it up there, parked it, went inside, gave them the keys, left. Well, some of the kids decided it was time to ride the bus down over the hill. So they flipped the truck up or the bus into neutral and ran it down the hill.
Oh, no.
So from that point forward, they said, when you bring the vehicle back, it has to go here, because they weren't watching the kids all the time and they were riding the bus down over the hill and not running. So they were ornery, but nobody got hurt.
Unexpected. Oh. So what's been your favorite vehicles to work on then, since you've experienced other ones?
I absolutely love working on the Fords. Ford Motor Company has done more for Warren County than any other car company. They actually come in, sit down where you two are sitting. They talk to me about the cars. They pull information out of me, what works, what can we do better, and all that kinds of stuff. They've helped me out over the years. They've given me vouchers, which I in turn turn them into the county to knock the price off on cars. I've had the transmission plant down here in Sharonville actually give me transmissions for our vehicles. I was trained in Sharonville on the 4R70W transmission, which I built hundreds of here in the garage. And I've met some good contacts. Federal Signals helped us out tremendously. All our tires are purchased off a state contract, mostly Goodyear Michelin's. Those people come in here, the Federal Signal people come in here. I've had General Motors in here. They come in, they want to talk to you about the products. And we've had a good mix of mostly Fords and GMs. We have some Dodge Grand Caravans that work good for us at the Veterans Office. And I would say Ford Motor Company's by far been more fleet oriented. And I like their product. Like I said, we've been trained here. I actually have access to their website. I can pull whatever information I need on those cars. That's been very valuable here. And it's been good working relationships with them. So something else that's neat here, we have a couple armored vehicles. I don't know if you've ever seen them. We have a new one on ordered. I spec this out. I won't get to see the end product because I'll be retired by then, but it's coming. We have two here now. One's a Ford, one's GMC. They're unique vehicles. I hope they don't have to use them, but if they have a situation where they need them, they're ready.
How many tires do you go through
Well,
in a year?
we do, I can't give you an actual number, I'd have to look it up, but I know we do $100,000 a year in tires here at the garage. The patrol cars probably get 15 to 25,000 miles on the tires. Now those are Pursuit legal tires. They're soft compound, they work good. Our new patrol cars are all-wheel drive. They're harder on tires. That tires have actually dictated how we do servicing on the cars. But when different cars come and go, like the old cars were two-wheel drive, they weren't as hard on tires as the all-wheel drive cars are because all four wheels are tires. So we do more tire work, but the benefit of that, we're spending more money, but we're not wrecking the cars, okay? They don't spin out. The old Crown Vics were like NASCAR. If they go around the corner, they would spin out and they'd be in a cornfield. We haven't lost, and it was hard for me to switch from a car to an all-wheel. We were calling the Explorers soccer mom vans. Well, believe it or not, they're good. They're great vehicles. They're the traction, the braking, it's superior to the older cars. But the problem with that, people resist change. But after you change, you look back and say, you know what? We're better off where we're at than where we were. So it's been a big difference.
Just out of curiosity then, what type of vehicle do you personally drive?
I have
Ford?
I have all Fords. All Fords.
Okay. I figured that
Well,
out.
my dad's a Ford man.
Okay.
And so I'm second generation Ford. And I enjoy them.
Well, On that note, what else do you
have
have?
any plan? What are your plans for retirement? Do you have
Well,
anything?
actually, I'm going to work part-time at Russell's Auto Repair, so I may be leaving here, but I will still be doing this to a lighter scale because I'm going to cut back a little bit. My body's sore. I've been on the concrete for 40 years. I'm going to go over there. I'm a drag racer. I love racing cars. I'm going to continue to do that, and I'm going to do some traveling, and someday, hopefully, I'll start enjoying my grandchildren, which I don't have any yet, but I'm sure they're going to be on their way. But no, I've had a wonderful career, really, truly enjoyed it. I honestly hate to go, but there's a time for everything. There's a beginning and there's an end. And when this door closes, another one opens. And I'm grateful and thankful for the time that I got to work here.
Do you have any closing thoughts for future people who work here?
Well, I've been grooming Nolan for a while, and he's going to take it to a new level. I trained him. He's here. His next move is he's going to be the teacher, and he's going to work with these people, and he's going to get people to do things that he needs done, and he'll oversee the whole operation. He'll have people that build patrol cars. He'll have people that have CDLs and work on big trucks. He'll have line mechanics. There's several. It's like playing baseball. We're all playing ball, but there's all different positions. You got pitcher, catcher. You got first baseman, outfield, shortstops. They all are playing ball, but each position is a little bit different. And you know what? What we try to do here is let everybody do their specialty, but you got to back up people when they're off. So you got to make sure you can cover the bases when something comes up and people are off. So he'll be fine, and he's a great kid, very, very knowledgeable, and he's going to do well.
And then my last question. So it's very rare, I would say, in this day and age to stay in one position from, start to finish until you retire. What do you think the benefits of you having stayed here for those 40 years versus, you said you've had other offers in the past? Like, what's the reason to have stayed here, and what are some of the things that you take away?
This has been a great job. It's close to my home. Now, I was offered other jobs at some dealerships and stuff, but I enjoyed working with the people, and I built a good relationship with them. And and another thing about, I've been here 40 years, well, it went like that. So I'm going to tell you something. You're going to be old soon, and enjoy each day one at a time, because someday you're going to be hobbling around and like I am now. But I stayed here, and I honestly didn't think about leaving a lot. I mean, I had offers, and I thought, I was busy working on things, so it just developed. It went from a 2-car garage to the facility you're sitting in today. We went from 25 cars to 500. I didn't have really time to think about it. And you know what? Over the years, they adjusted my salary, and they were fair. And I didn't get rich. I'm not poor, and I won't be poor the rest of my life. So I enjoyed this. It's a good place to work. And you come in, do your job, and you work on everybody's car the same, and they will love you. And, because they need us, and I want our product, when it rolls out on the street, to say, that's a nice vehicle, they're taking care of business.
Well, then I guess my last question is going to be, is there something that stands out to you as the best part of your experience of being here? Or your favorite thing from the past 50 years? Or 50 years, 40 years?
Don't push 10 more
Yeah.
on
I'm
me.
trying, I'm trying.
You know what? Every morning, I wake up at the same time. I don't have an alarm clock. It goes off. I jump up and get dressed to come to work. That's going to be the hardest thing for me to break, because I'm so used to that. And actually, I guess it's just natural. I don't know. I told Nolan, I said, once I retire and they turn my badge off, my swipe cards, I said, I'm going to come out there and I'm going to be on the outside of the fence with my hands stuck in the fence, hollering, what are you doing in there? So, no, I've enjoyed this. It went fast. Time goes by fast. I wish it would slow down a bit. But no, this has been great. I'm tickled to death that the different boards of commissioners funded this, because I've worked for I don't know how many different commissioners over the years. They own this. I just have operated it, and I come in, do my job, and do what they ask of me. You know, they got to have product out there to do services for the county, for the people. That's what this is. This is for the people, and it saved them thousands and thousands of dollars. They could not sublet this and saved money and kept the control on it like they have, because we know what we're getting. We know what we got. And you know, there's a lot of people that have automotive problems that they couldn't take them somewhere and get them fixed because they don't know how to explain. You know, they can explain what's going on, but they would have no idea if it was getting fixed correctly. So we're a safety net for them to make sure they're getting what they're paying for. So it's been a wonderful career. I've enjoyed it, and if it wouldn't be for people like you that have vehicles, we wouldn't be needed. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And I could tell you all kinds of things, but I don't know where to start. I've seen some really neat things here over the years, and the growth and watching Justice Drive grow over there. Used to, you know, those were two just grassy areas out there, and then the administration building was there. I was here before the pond was in. The school has moved. They tore the old school down and built one behind it. They've added on the sheriff's office, the old building, once. They've added on the courthouse several times. In the basement, the courthouse is telecom, where they dispatch and stuff. I can remember when that basement was open and there was a MASH hospital in there for emergency use. So if there was a disaster, they could operate that MASH hospital over there at the county somewhere. It was complete with tents, medical equipment, all kinds of stuff.
It's like essentially a fallout shelter.
It's exactly. It was open back in. I remember when it was wide open, and I was at one time or another in all the buildings because everybody had a car, and you were going over there and getting their vehicles, and you see this stuff, and it was interesting how everything worked.
Interesting. Never really thought about what was in the basement beforehand.
Anything else you would like to add before we?
Well, I appreciate you two coming over. I wish I could pull more stuff off my brains because I've seen a lot of stuff. And I'll tell you something that's been interesting is some of the cars and stuff that have come in here, they were shot up and stuff. And we had to work with the sheriff's office on them to so they could build their case that they were working on or something like that. And it's amazing what a bullet will do to a car. So when a bullet hits a car, it fragments and the energy just disperses in all different directions. And when that metal's going through the car, it destroys all kinds of things. So if you ever get a car shot up, just get rid of it. It's not worth it's not worth fixing. So, well, you know, today's cars got a lot of plastic in them. Okay, so once a bullet goes through there and it starts hitting the dash and the HVAC system, it's just destroyed. And so that's just another tidbit that we did over the years. I used to go to the lake when they patrol up the lake. I've been on the lake patrolling with them in the boat. I've been on call. I would go on calls in the patrol cars, and I quit doing that because I could see that wasn't healthy. So I used to go on calls with them, and I used to be able to walk in and out of the sheriff's office and the jail. I used to go into jail, and they would bake cookies in there. We would help the cooks out, and they would bake cookies for us, and I had a great relationship with them. So it's been good.
Well, it sounds like you've led a very fulfilling and interesting life here at Warren County.
Well, I've enjoyed it tremendously, and I'm very thankful. And I've had a wonderful career.
Just what I like to hear. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Well, in that case, Andy, thank you so much. This has been wonderful, and I am going to conclude the interview.
Thank you very much.
You.
Appreciate it.